Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It's bad. It is a Wednesday, and a reminder that our title sponsor is ableauctions.ca. A lot of reaction to our conversation in the first segment regarding the Canucks possibly being interested in Ethan Bear and possibly moving on from Nils Höglander. Let's bring in Jeff Paterson from Sakaris and Price in the Rink Wide podcast, as always, on a Wednesday. Jeff, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. Kind of like I was yesterday and the day before. And the day before, just it's like Groundhog Day around here covering this hockey club right now. Although I say that, and then I think yesterday was a team day off and probably a good thing just to let them all go their separate ways. And you think, well, they'll get back to practice today before getting on to Seattle. But the bad news, like the hits just keep coming now with this news about Besser and Curtis Lazar. So it really is unbelievable to be in the position that they are in 7 games into this season.
Jeff, in line with that, and this is going to be the focus of our poll question, can the Canucks use injuries as an excuse?
I don't think you can ever use them as an excuse in pro sports, Donnie, but they are a reason. It would be impossible to overlook what's going on and what's gone wrong with this team already. And, out of training camp, it was, oh no, Brock Besser's hurt. He may not be ready for opening night. Ilya Mikheyev gets hurt in the first preseason game. Tyler Myers in the final preseason game. But then Besser was ready to go on opening night, and Myers and Mikheyev both got back sooner than I think people thought. And so early on, it was like, oh man, injuries. But then was it the Columbus game where Myers and Mikheyev both made their debuts and Besser was still playing? And you thought, all right, this is their team. And here we are a week later, and now Besser's on the shelf, Lazar's on the shelf. Quinn Hughes is obviously the big one, and you saw it the other night against Carolina. Even if Quinn Hughes had been playing, the Canucks were going to be up against it, but the Canucks just could not get the puck. They couldn't get it out of their own zone. That's a good-looking Carolina hockey club. Score flattered the Canucks clearly, but the Canucks with that decimated blue line, just a complete inability to move the puck out of their own zone up to the forwards. And if Hughes is out any length of time, and we don't know, but he's on IR right now, so he's not going to play this week, won't play tomorrow, won't play against Pittsburgh, probably won't play against his brother Jack when the Devils are in next week. I just don't know how the Canucks can be expected to have success when their one true blue-chip defenseman isn't in the lineup, and you're trying to patchwork around that.
At 0-5-2 to start the season, Jeff, the injuries, do you see a way out of this? I mean, obviously winning games, but do you see a way out of this horror show?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Don. I'm just going to take a second here and remind people that I like to bring a ray of sunshine
to
any show that I'm on. And so I think I have found a sliver here, a sliver of hope for the Vancouver Canucks. And here we go. The fact that 7 games in, only 2 of the games have been against Western Conference opponents. And they say Seattle tomorrow night, and then it's Pittsburgh and New Jersey. I think it's 5 of their first 16 or 17 are against the West because they've got another big Eastern road trip coming up. If they can get through these injuries, if they can get some traction, if their best players can carry them here in the short term, they still have the bulk of their games against division and conference opponents ahead. And that is the path to respectability and ultimately the path to the playoffs in the National Hockey League. Yeah, you got to pick up points against Eastern teams as well. You can't just flush those games entirely, but there is the bulk of their games against the West still remaining. And if they can get healthy and get some traction, then that to me is their path. So that's the story I'm going with here for now. But when I say that, a game against the Seattle Kraken before the end of October all of a sudden has significant heft to it because the Kraken are playing pretty decent hockey, and they beat Colorado last week. They laid a number on Buffalo last night. They're scoring goals. It's not going to be easy given the injury situation for the Vancouver Canucks here. And I'm curious, do they go with Spencer Martin tomorrow and save Thatcher Demko for the Penguins, sort of the featured game of the back-to-backs here? Or do you have to go with Thatcher Demko and hope that one of these nights he's able to steal you a game? Because I do think that's part of the story in this 0-5-2 start is, and look, again, with the defense in front of him and just the amount of shots that he faced against Carolina, you're asking an awful lot, but Demko gave that appearance last year that he was able to sort of be the savior, to wear a cape and be a hero for the Canucks. And, he hasn't been able to be at that level. And until he kind of dials in his game, I'm just not sure that I like the Canucks' chances the way that they're playing and with the players that they've got at their disposal right now.
Jeff, I want to get your comments on Jack Rathbone. So we see the skill, we see the offense, we see the skating, but he's playing his own end. Sometimes he looks lost, the wrong reads. What's your overall views about Rathbone?
Well, it was long overdue to get him in there. He had to be patient for those first 5 games, and I know Bruce said that he was waiting until the home opener. I do wonder if just his relative youth, they were waiting to get him at home where they could sort of shield him and control the matchups a little bit better and shelter him from, seeing the best players on the other side if he's in the lineup out on the road. Whatever the case, if he's going to make this team and be a part of this moving forward, he's got to prove that he can play at home, on the road when he gets that opportunity. His skating is undeniable. I've seen that in his limited time in the NHL already, watching him at training camp and through the preseason. But you're right. He's not the biggest guy in the world. And so I think there's going to be times where he's going to have to use his smarts and his savvy, and he's a Harvard guy. So he's got the hockey IQ, and he's got the IQ off the ice as well. It's body positioning, it's stick, it's use of the stick. It's all those types of things that, we rave about Quinn Hughes. And I think that's how Jack Rathbone's going to have success and sort of outthink his opponents. And then once he's got the puck on his stick, use the gifts that he's got to, transport it up ice and make some things happen. I know I asked him on Saturday morning before his season debut, you have to be careful not to try to make up for the 5 games that you were a healthy scratch all in one night here. And he was like, yeah, I just got to stay within myself and try to do the things that I can do. And so, it's important that people don't ask or expect too much of him. But at the same time, he's 23 and a half years old. He's not a 19 or 20-year-old prospect. This is a guy that looked like he had graduated and left the AHL behind. I think he believes that. He's a confident guy. And so he's been all right, Rick. But nobody on this team has been good enough. And so it's sort of hard to separate individuals right now just because they need more from everybody, from the experienced veteran guys to the youth and the exuberant young players that are getting an opportunity. They just need more across the board.
Jeff, we've all been in the Canucks dressing room. Donnie, myself, you had a tweet the other night. Looks like you walked on the Canucks logo in the dressing room, and it looks like a few of the players went at you.
Don't accuse me. I did not.
Somebody else.
Around the outside, but as the Horvat scrum developed, I think there were a few that did end up towing the logo. And look, it's just so tense in that locker room right now. And that was the tweet, is that players are frustrated, and I think they don't have an appetite. They don't have answers. So the questions are all the same right now. And I think that they were just looking to vent, and the media could be a convenient scapegoat at times. And that's all it was. I was just trying to point out how frustrated it is in that locker room 7 games into the season. So yes, tension is high. And I can also confirm there is a big Canucks logo at the center of the locker room.
Nothing wrong with blaming the media. Very, very, very quickly, Jeff, how much did you work with, pardon me for not knowing this, Dan Russell at NW?
Yeah, a fair bit. I started there hosting Sports Talk Weekend, which, of course, was an offshoot of the Monday to Friday program. I got to know Dan an awful lot during the time that I was calling games in Kamloops in the Western League, and he was doing games in Seattle. And so we had a lot of communication in that regard. And then certainly as I started to host Canucks pre and post games and those types of things on NW, the post game would often lead into Sports Talk. So was glad to see him get his rightful acknowledgement and take his place in the BC Sports Hall of Fame. Without a doubt, a pioneer, and the fact that that show stands the test of time, and we all sort of in the market, and the industry clearly is changing. Yeah, but we all still look to Sports Talk for the sort of the thumbprint that it left on the Vancouver sports market.
Jeff, thanks for this. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Watch out for the logo.
Yep. Move to your left there. I think you're standing on a
Watch the logo, Jeff. Watch the logo.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You bet.